With limited manpower and resources, Starfleet Command's best and brightest starship engineers would begin to develop starship classes way outside the box. And one of these classes, the Achilles Class, would almost become a forgotten page in the historical text. But what do we know about this classified powerhouse class? Well, today we'll find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using beta canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Achilles Class as first seen in the 2001 Star Trek game Dominion Wars, to better understand its place in Star Trek history. Please note, the Achilles Class was recently updated and included in the awesome MMO Star Trek Online, where it flies proudly today, reminding old folk like me of a simpler time in Star Trek gaming history. I'm also very impressed with how Star Trek Online captured the original true essence of the class, yet made her look badass at the same time. So, well done, Stowe, well done. But as always, because this is just a beta canon video, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. The Dominion War, a short but very bloody conflict, would require a lot of out-of-the-box thinking by Starfleet Command when it came to starship designs and its related technology. The Dominion itself was a powerhouse, with the ability to create an almost limitless supply of officers and crew members through cloning, with some of the best engineers and scientists ever created at their beck and call. And although powerful in their own right, designs such as the Defiant, Steamrunner, and Akira classes could barely scratch the surface of the Dominion's more advanced battleships. Starfleet's first true encounter with the Dominion in 2370 had proven that Starfleet Command was once again woefully unprepared for this new foe, with one of their top-of-the-line Galaxy-class starships, the USS Odyssey, being destroyed after a Jem'Hadar attack ship would ram that vessel. The Federation Council would call an immediate emergency session to discuss options when it came to the Dominion. And aside from the usual diplomatic overtures the Federation required Starfleet to convey, they would also grant Starfleet Command full authority to develop any new technologies or starship designs that could battle the Dominion. For its part, Starfleet Command would get to work almost immediately, pulling up old, abandoned designs that had been created to fight the Borg, and setting teams the tasks of changing these designs to fight the Dominion instead. Probably the most famous design being that of the Prometheus class, a tactical starship able to break itself into 3 separate but strong smaller vessels that could be controlled from the main bridge of the ship and focus attack the enemy vessel. But one design that would see many successes throughout the war would be almost forgotten by the history books, that of the Achilles Class. Launched in 2374 and sitting at a length of 612 meters, the Achilles Class would be designed to be operated by 660 officers and crew members. Containing one of the newly developed warp core and related systems, the Achilles Class would have a standard safe cruising speed of warp factor 8, with an emergency maximum speed of warp factor 9.975 for 16-hour increments. Tactically, the Achilles Class would be equipped with both standard phaser emitter arrays, as well as torpedo launching systems that had the ability to fire the newly developed quantum torpedoes. But to give the class the edge it needed against the Dominion, 2 other weapon systems would also be added. The first was 8 pulse phaser cannons. Based on the technology included within the Defiant class, these pulse phaser cannons were almost twice as powerful as those of that aforementioned class. The second weaponry system included within the class had actually been entirely created from the ground up, and was known as micro-quantum torpedo launchers. Arranged in a phalanx configuration along the class's dorsal spine, These micro quantum torpedo launchers had the ability to cause massive damage to any Dominion vessel. Although their size limited their ability to do much damage individually, fired in large amounts and in rapid succession, the micro quantum torpedo was an effective weapon system. Shielding for the class would be standard for the era. A single aft-facing shuttle bay would be equipped with the latest auxiliary spacecraft that Starfleet Command had to offer, but generally speaking, the Achilles Class would not contain any fighter craft at all, unless a mission specifically required some. Very few citizens of the Federation would remember the Achilles Class during and after the war, and this was for two primary reasons. First, after passing her rushed shakedown tests, the Achilles Class would not go into regular full production, but rather due to the lack of availability of certain resources during wartime, would only go into limited production, with only 8 other starships of the class ever being constructed. Second, her design and capabilities were to be kept completely classified, with only those that would work alongside an Achilles Class starship being given the barest amount of information about this new vessel class. The Achilles Class would not participate in any standard major engagements of the time, often being relegated to off-the-books missions, designed in an almost guerrilla war-type fashion. An Achilles Class vessel could operate deep in Dominion Cardassian space for months at a time, attacking and destroying various targets to keep the Dominion off balance. With this recently declassified information, often comes the question as to why, if the class was so successful, was it decommissioned right after the war? And the answer is not a simple one. The Achilles Class was slightly less powerful than her bigger sister, the Sovereign Class. And with the entire Federation in awe over the Sovereign Class, Starfleet Command could simply pour its non-wartime resources into building fleets of that design, rather than ships of the Achilles Class. But probably the biggest reason to quietly decommission and bury the class after the war was all due to the questionable missions the class undertook and the dubious tactics used by the vessel captains. During the war, no one really complained when a ship or facility belonging to the Dominion was destroyed. However, as usually happens after the war is won, everyone begins turning their hindsight eye onto every aspect of the war and questioning every little detail that had happened. And so, to avoid a complete PR nightmare, the Achilles Class would simply disappear, with no indication of where the 9 vessels of the class were retired to. Created as a secret weapon against a deadly enemy, the Achilles Class would become a sleek and silent killer, doing whatever it could to protect the Federation and its citizens, earning the class its important, but perhaps questionable place in Starfleet history. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the Achilles Class and the historical narrative that I've created here? What do you think happened to the class after it was supposedly decommissioned? And do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. Want to help the channel fight its wars with guerrilla tactics? Then please consider becoming a channel member subscriber or channel patron, both a major help that allows this channel to purchase resources and 3D models to keep it going. The link to both memberships is in the description below. Thanks again for watching. Live long and prosper.